This is where thousands mark an important milestone, graduating from the University of Toronto. But some students fear this will no longer be a reality for them after provincial cuts were made to the financial aid program.
I was seeing a drastic cut, barely enough to cover my tuition.
After receiving her OSAP estimates for the upcoming school year, U of T student Brianna McDonald is now coming to terms with the fact that she won't be able to finish the final year in her master's program.
I'm very scared. I honestly don't know what my year is going to look like. I don't know if I'm going to have to postpone my studies.
How much would tuition cost you, for instance, this year?
So tuition for this year is about $9,000 and I received about $8,800. So that's just under what tuition costs. I'm just very nervously scrapping together as many bursaries and scholarships that I can, but those are also very competitive.
And so if it wasn't for these provincial cuts, how much do you think OSAP would have given you?
I think I would have got, in the past for my undergrad, I received enough for tuition and then maybe $3,000 or $4,000 extra for living expenses. So that really helped out with other things.
She's not alone. Others also took to social media and, like Brianna, say their financial aid has taken a huge slashing. And the amount they're receiving isn't enough to even cover tuition, let alone books and materials.
The students who are applying for the first time, I'm really nervous about them, that this is going to completely deter them from going to post-secondary in the first place.
Back in January, the Ford government made sweeping changes to OSAP, laying blame on the previous government spending. The Ministry of Training, Colleges and Universities didn't respond to our questions about students' concerns, only partly saying, quote, "Our government introduced an unprecedented 10% reduction in college and university tuition fees. Reducing tuition and increasing the affordability of college and university will help Ontario students get the education and training needed for the well-paying jobs in our modern economy." Advocate groups like the Canadian Federation of Students Ontario say though there is a tuition reduction, the cuts to financial aid are a major step back, also adding that horror stories are pouring in.
And we've seen some people saying that they've got an 80% reduction of the OSAP. And this is just very scary because we make plans for our 4 years or 2 years or whatever time that you need to graduate. And this just backtracks everything that we have.
And students are set to organize. They're planning a protest outside of Premier Doug Ford's constituency office tomorrow morning in Etobicoke. For City News, I'm Faiza Amin.
Hundreds of students have taken to Twitter after finding out just how much less OSAP funding they'll be getting next year compared to last year's allotment. I'm City News web writer Meredith Bond. Post-secondary students started receiving their new estimates this week after the Ford government announced the changes to the Student Assistance Program back in January. Marianne, a student at Algonquin College, will be receiving more than $6,000 less than last year, with $5,000 of that being taken from grants. That's a story from several students who say not only has the amount dropped drastically, but most of the reduction comes from the free grants, not from the loans, which they will have to pay back. Brianna Watkins says she's received funding to cover tuition, books, and living costs last year, but won't be receiving enough in the upcoming school year to even cover tuition. And Calvin Zhu, a McMaster medical student, says while he'll be receiving the same amount, his grants were reduced by more than $4,000. A protest has been organized outside Doug Ford's Etobicoke office tomorrow morning, and a petition against the OSAP cuts has received more than 325,000 signatures. For more student stories, head to our website, citynews.ca.